headquarters in New York City. So you're back. How does it feel?
I'm back.
How does it feel?
Well, it feels good. You've always been fair to me, Bill. I've never had a problem with you. You've always treated me with respect and fairly, and I've always appreciated that. Right. You know that.
Well, that's going to change tonight. Okay. We're going to do two segments with you. Why not? Going to do two segments. Okay. First segment is policy. Second will be the fairness doctrine as it pertains to you, or people being fair to you. All right, policy question number one. What specific tax deductions will you banish as president in your tax plan?
Well, one thing we're doing is we're getting rid of the carried interest, which, you know, gives hedge fund guys on Wall Street a tremendous advantage. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're paying very little tax, and I think it's very unfair. And it affects me, too. It, frankly, is a big benefit for me, but I'm willing to do that. It's unfair. It's very substantial, and we're going to get rid of it. We just came out, as you know, yesterday with a tax plan where it's a big simplification and really great for middle-income families.
Right, but
it's going to be a phenomenal bill.
We know it. All right, so this earned interest thing you're going to get away with. How about deductions for private jets? Are they knocked out?
Well, if they're used in business, it's a business tool.
So, so you're not going to knock out that. How about season tickets at the Yankees?
If it's used for business, we're not knocking that out because that really is something having to do with business. You take people to games, you take people to whatever you're doing. But that's a positive thing. That's a positive thing for the economy. We don't want to, Bill, we don't want to hurt. What we don't want to do is we don't want to hurt business. We want to inspire business. We want to inspire people to create jobs.
But I'm trying to get the $20 trillion debt around my neck. I understand you're doing what Ronald Reagan did. You're doing what Ronald Reagan did. I just wrote a book on Reagan. I know Reagan inside and out. You're doing exactly what he did. You want to stimulate the free marketplace by putting more money back into it, more research and development, more job creation. That's what you're trying to do. And I actually agree that that has to be done now after 7 years of Barack Obama failing to stimulate the economy. However, your plan was going to bring down government revenue. All right, they're going to get less money. So you say, but in the long run, they'll get more because more people will be in the workplace, more people will be paying taxes, and it'll go up. Fine, but speculative. Right. Fine, but speculative. So the only thing I'm hearing that you're going to knock out are these hedge fund guys carrying money from one year to the next. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop the debt from rising another $5 trillion.
No, the big thing we're doing, Bill, is when I get in, and I will tell you this, and I said this very clearly, I'm a cost cutter. I know how to cut costs. We have tremendous waste and abuse in this country. If you look at some of the things that are happening in the country in terms of costs,
give me one big thing you're going to cut. One big thing you're going to cut right away.
I'm going to cut big Department of Education, as an example. I'm a believer. I mean, you have somebody like Jeb Bush and Rubio and others. They're big into big education and I'm all for education. I want to be local. Department of Education, tremendous cuts. Department of Environmental Protection, where they're actually going around and causing damage as opposed to saving damage. Tremendous amounts of money.
Okay, so you're going to go with a cleaver
through tremendous
abuse. All right. Now,
we're talking about tremendous amounts of money. Bill, we're talking about tremendous amounts of money.
And I believe you if you were elected president.
Taxes.
I believe you if you'd take a cleaver to those things. I believe it. Let's go to
I would do
Putin.
Very well. People would be very happy.
Did Putin go up and say, you say you and Putin are going to be close. Did Putin go up to your office and did you guys bond or anything this week? He's in town.
No, I didn't know anything about him coming to my office, but I will tell you that I think in terms of leadership, he's getting an A and our president is not doing so well. They did not look good together.
What do you think Putin is up to in the Middle East? He's moving planes. He's moving advisors into Syria. What is he up to?
Well, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives, wounded warriors all over, and Putin is now taking over what we started. And he's going into Syria, and he frankly wants to fight ISIS, and I think that's a wonderful thing. You know, I said that a year ago, and everybody said, oh, that's terrible. If he wants to fight ISIS, let him fight ISIS. Why do we always have to do everything? But he wants to go in. He wants to fight ISIS. Now, he wants to keep, as you know, he wants to keep your leadership, your current leadership, Assad, in Syria. personally, I've been looking at the different players, and I've been watching Assad, and I've been pretty good at this stuff over the years because deals are people. And I'm looking at Assad and saying maybe he's better than the kind of people that we're supposed to be backing because we don't even know.
Yeah,
who
but he's
we're
a mass murderer with the gas and all of that. But what's the downside of Putin fighting ISIS?
We don't know.
What's the downside of Putin fighting ISIS?
I say there's very little downside with Putin fighting ISIS, and Putin wants to keep ISIS out of Russia, and therefore he's become very active with
I'm going to tell you what the downside is.
And I think that's to our benefit.
I'm going to tell you what the downside is.
Well, you're going to say the downside is we're losing control of the Middle East.
No, no.
But with this kind of leadership, we're never going to have control of anything.
Once Putin gets in and fights ISIS on behalf of Assad, Putin runs Syria. He owns it. He'll never get out. Never.
All right. Okay. Fine. I mean, you know, we can be in Syria. Do you want to run Syria? Do you want to own Syria?
No,
I want to rebuild
but I think
our country, Bill.
Putin wants to run and call the shots in the Middle East, and the United States will be on the side.
I said that. Sure.
That's what he wants.
Right. And you have huge oil reserves. You have tremendous wealth in the Middle East that people don't even know about. And by the way, forget about Putin. You have Iran is going to take over Iraq. I called that many years ago on your show. I said we should have never gone into Iraq, which I should be given a little credit for vision because I'm the only one running that said that. But we should have never because you totally destabilized the Middle East.
And that's true.
But the fact is that Putin now, well, that's what happened. You destabilized. And by the way, Iran is going to be taking over Iraq, including their vast oil reserves, and the leftovers are taken over by ISIS. So what have we done with our incompetent leadership?
We have given the Middle East primarily to Putin and Iran, and they will run it for the foreseeable future. And if you were elected president, you'd have to deal with that, and that's going to be one hard thing to deal with. Now, as I said, we're going to hold you over, and we appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk about fairness. Now from New York City, Donald Trump. What do you say to that? If somebody shoots up a mosque, you're responsible.
Well, I think it's terrible what's going on. I can tell you in New York City, they used to go in and check and do a lot of different things, and now they're not doing any checking. And I think, frankly, the question that was asked of me in New Hampshire, which was a packed house and a lot of enthusiasm, I just didn't want to respond to the question. It's the first time I've ever been sort of made controversial by not responding to a question. But they wanted me to defend President Obama, and he can defend himself. I don't have to defend Obama.
Okay. But, I mean, look, the media is not going to give you a fair shake, and then it's not. But that brings us to me and you. All right? You're on record as saying that I've been fair to you, and I believe I have. So let me ask you a couple of questions. And if they're unfair, you tell me if they're unfair.
All right.
Am I fair to say that in order for you to win the Republican nomination, that you're going to have to change your style and be a bit kinder and more mature? Is that a fair question?
Well, I think it's fair. I think the word mature is not appropriate, but I think it's certainly fair. I think that, as you know, I'm leading every poll, and most polls I'm leading very big. In New Hampshire, in Iowa, if you look at what just came down, South Carolina, the polls all #1, so I can't be doing so badly, Bill, but it's not going to be a question of nice. I think I'm a nice person. I have great relationships. You know me well. I help people. I love people. But it's not going to be a question of that. It's going to be a question of competence because people are tired of being pushed around by every country in the world, every single thing. We haven't had victories.
But you have to be kind of presidential. I'm going to run a clip now of something you recently said, and then I'm going to ask you another question, which may be unfair. If it is, you tell me. Now, would I be unfair to say to you, which I would if we were at a Yankee game, hey, calling Senator Rubio a clown was not presidential?
No, I don't think it'd be unfair, but I have to tell you how that all started. I was getting along with him perfectly fine 2 weeks ago. Everything was fine. I don't really know him. And all of a sudden, he attacks me about nothing, but really attacked me quite viciously. And I fought back. I told people that he has one of the worst voting records. He has the worst voting record in the Senate. He never shows up. Senate, he never shows up. I mean, he's not going in for votes, and that you can't do. He's weak on immigration, unbelievably weak on immigration, and I'm all about strong on illegal immigration and other things. So I mentioned it, and I said it loudly. But again, I'm a counterpuncher. He hit me all of a sudden.
Okay,
same thing with
I didn't mind the Gang of Eight
stuff.
Nice. I didn't mind the Gang of Eight stuff.
Well,
he's calling him a clown.
He was a member of the Gang
presidential.
of Eight.
All right, final question.
Okay, listen. Excuse me, Bill. He was a member of the Gang of Eight, which was a disaster. He was totally weak on immigration.
But
and by the
fine.
way, he hasn't changed.
But it's the clown stuff that's not fine. Last question.
Well, okay. I can understand that.
Okay, good. You have the
highest... But he hit me very viciously.
But on policy, you have the highest unfavorables in the polls, all right? More people don't like you than any other candidate. Is it fair to ask you why you think that is?
Well, I also have the highest positives in the poll.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
why
You're
I'm
like
leading
Howard
every
Cosell.
poll.
Remember
So
Howard?
it's a combination.
Yeah, he was like Howard Cosell.
I guess, I think you can see this. I've done very well over the last number of months in terms of getting the unfavorables much better. If you look at New Hampshire, I'm doing great with respect to favorable, unfavorable, very positive. Iowa, the places that I'm going to a lot, South Carolina, I'm doing great in that category. So I think when people see me, when they see I want to make America great again, they all of a sudden say, you know, we really like him. I'm actually a nice person. I try very hard to be a nice person.
You're going to grow on us then. You're going to grow on.
Well, when I go to Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, they really like me, and my favorables are great there because they see me a lot.
I got it. The more you see you, the more you're going to like you. Now, fair interview?
Well, for whatever reason.
Fair? Everything fair? Are we good?
You were very fair. You're always fair.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Almost.
And we're almost, I know. Okay, and we appreciate you coming.